Iowa versus Andrew Shaw, the murder that exposed a deadly trio. Before we dive in, kindly hit the subscribe button and let us know where you are watching from in the comment. Iowa winters are quiet, too quiet, the kind of quiet that makes every sound echo, every shadow stretch, and every secret hide easily. On December 14th, 2018, that quiet broke. A man vanished, a man with friends, family, a life, a man named Chris Bagley, and no one knew it then, but his disappearance would expose something far darker than a missing person case. It would uncover a deadly trio, a hidden web of violence, a murder built on fear, betrayal, drugs, and revenge. This wasn't just a homicide. It was a conspiracy, a secret buried beneath the surface of Cedar Rapids, a secret the killers believed would never be found. They were wrong. Chris Bagley was 31 years old, tattooed, charismatic, hardworking, deeply loved by friends and family. But he also had struggles, dangerous connections, people who lived in the shadows. And on that cold December night, he walked straight into the center of a storm. That night, Chris told people he was going to meet someone. He didn't say who. He didn't say where. Just a simple line, "I'll be back in a bit." But he never came back. His phone stopped ringing. Messages went unread. Hours turned into fear. Fear turned into panic. His family knew something was wrong. Very wrong. Chris didn't just disappear. He was taken. When Chris didn't return home, everyone close to him started calling around. Friends, co-workers, anyone who might have seen him. No one had. The next morning, his family filed a missing person report with the Lynn County Sheriff's Office. Detectives took it seriously. Chris wasn't the type to vanish without a trace. But they had very little to work with. No crime scene, no body, no witnesses, just silence. A silence that felt dangerous. Detectives began digging into the last hours of Chris's life. Who he talked to, where he might have gone, who might want to harm him. And slowly, names started surfacing. Names that made detectives uneasy. Names tied to drugs, crime, violence. Names that would eventually become infamous. Andrew Shaw, Drew Wagner, Johnny Church. 3 men with a dangerous history. 3 men who lived on the edge. 3 men whose stories intersected with Chris in ways no one understood yet. Not until much later, the investigation started circling one location. A house on Ely Road. A house known by locals as a drug spot. A house where people came and went at all hours of the night. A house full of secrets. Detectives learned Chris had been there before. Recently, frequently. And on the night he disappeared, witnesses said something chilling. Chris was going to confront someone at that house. Confront who? No one said a name. But detectives already had their suspicions. And every suspicion pointed to the same person. Andrew Shaw. Shaw wasn't a mystery. Not to police. Not to people in the underground world of Cedar Rapids. He had a record. Past. A violent reputation. He dealt drugs. Moved product. Made connections with all the wrong people. He also had a temper. A bad one. And Chris Bagley? He had recently crossed paths with Shaw in ways that were becoming increasingly hostile. Detectives didn't yet know how deep the conflict went. But they felt something dangerous under the surface. Something explosive. Detectives subpoenaed Chris's phone records. Ping data showed his phone stopped transmitting near Ely Road, the exact area of Shaw's house. That was the first hard piece of evidence. Cold, sharp, unavoidable. Chris had been there. The question became, did he leave that house alive? Detectives interviewed people connected to Shaw's circle. Most were evasive, nervous. Some lied openly. But one woman slipped. She said something small, almost whispered. "I heard Chris got into it with Shaw." "Got into what?" Detectives asked. "A fight, I think." The room went still. Detectives leaned forward. "Do you know what happened to Chris?" She looked down, voice shaking. "I don't know, but he didn't walk out of that house." Those words were like ice water. They confirmed what detectives feared. Chris didn't disappear. He was attacked. Inside that house. As detectives dug further, the picture grew clearer and more horrifying. 3 men, 3 roles, 1 murder. Andrew Shaw, the ringleader, the one with the motive, the one Chris had problems with. Drew Wagner, Shaw's close associate, known for violence, known for intimidation, the muscle. Johnny Church, the third link, quiet, brutal, unpredictable, a man with a reputation for doing Shaw's dirty work. Together, they formed a trio that lived in the shadows, a trio capable of anything. Detectives realized this wasn't just a murder. It was a coordinated attack, a group beating, planned disappearance. The trio didn't accidentally kill Chris. They hunted him. A confidential informant came forward. He was terrified, shaking, looking over his shoulder every few seconds. He said, "I know what happened to Chris." Detectives braced themselves. The informant said Chris was lured to the house. He walked in unaware of the trap, unafraid, unsuspecting. Inside, an argument erupted. Yelling, threats, anger boiling over. Then violence. Fast, savage. He said multiple men attacked Chris, beat him, held him down, refused to let him leave. He begged them to stop, the informant said quietly, but they didn't. Detectives asked who was involved. The informant swallowed hard. Shaw, Wagner, Church, the trio, the deadly trio, the ones everyone whispered about. Chris didn't run away. He didn't overdose. He wasn't hiding. He was murdered, and his killers, all 3 of them, thought they hid the crime perfectly. But they left cracks in the story. Cracks detectives would soon pry open. Detectives now faced their biggest challenge. They needed a body. Without it, building a strong case would be harder. Winter storms swept across Iowa. Snow buried evidence. Cold froze the ground. But detectives refused to stop. They searched rural land, abandoned properties, wooded areas, ravines, creeks, fields. 5 days, 10 days, 20 days, nothing. But they didn't give up. Because they knew one thing: bodies don't disappear. They get hidden. And hiding places always tell stories. Detectives brought in Shaw for questioning. He sat with a cold smirk, arms crossed, eyes defiant. He denied everything. Don't know where Chris is. Didn't see him. Don't care. He tried to act confident. But detectives noticed his hands were shaking. Fear, guilt, pressure, cracks forming. Then they showed him a photo, Chris's phone triangulation near his house. Shaw froze, just for a second. But it was enough. Detectives knew they had him. A new tip came in, this time from someone very close to the trio. He said, "Chris is dead. They buried him." Detectives leaned in. "Where?" The man hesitated, voice low. "In a backyard, off Highway 13. A buried body, a shallow grave, hidden in cold dirt." This tip changed everything. Detectives got a search warrant. They prepared excavation teams. They prepared for the worst. On March 1st, 2019, 77 days after Chris Bagley disappeared, investigators found a boot, then a denim pant leg, then a human hand. The grave was shallow, rushed, poorly thought out. The remains were identified almost immediately. It was Chris, buried behind a house linked to the trio. Detectives stood silently. Some cried. Some clenched their fists. The truth was undeniable. Chris didn't just die. He was murdered, beaten, and hidden. A life taken by 3 men who believed he wouldn't be missed. But he was. And now the case exploded. Cedar Rapids was shaken. People talked in hushed voices. Parents told their kids to stay inside. The moment detectives uncovered Chris Bagley's shallow grave, the case changed. This wasn't a disappearance. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This wasn't a man who wandered off. This was murder, cold, calculated, carried out by more than one man. And as detectives dug deeper, they uncovered something far more disturbing. Chris didn't just walk into a dangerous situation. He walked into a trap set by 3 men, each one violent, each one unstable, each one capable of murder. Their names: Andrew Shaw, Drew Wagner, Johnny Church, the deadly trio. This chapter tells how detectives unraveled their conspiracy, how they moved from whispers to witnesses, from rumors to confessions, from suspicion to proof, and how they uncovered the motive behind the brutality. Because Chris didn't die by accident. He died because he knew something dangerous, something the trio could not allow to survive. After identifying Chris's remains, detectives returned to the house on Ely Road, the last place he'd been seen alive. The house felt wrong the moment they stepped inside. Dark corners, rotting furniture, drug residue on tables, stains on carpets, a smell of chemicals and cigarettes thick in the air. This wasn't a home. It was a criminal hub, a meeting point for addicts, dealers, and violent men. The air carried the tension of secrets. Secrets the trio thought they could hide. But secrets always leave traces. And detectives were about to find them. Crime scene techs sprayed luminol through the house. Lights off, windows covered, silence thick as fog. Then the blue glow appeared. Everywhere. On the floor, on the walls, on the ceiling, near a couch, near the back hallway, near the basement stairs. So much blood. Too much blood. The kind of blood that didn't come from a fistfight. Not from a small struggle. Not from an accident. This was the kind of blood that comes from torture. That comes from repeated strikes. That comes from rage. The trio hadn't just killed Chris. They beat him. Badly. Brutally. Together. And they believed cleaning the scene would erase their crime. They were wrong. Interviews continued. People who knew Shaw. People who knew Wagner. People who knew Church. For a while, no one talked. Fear silenced them. Fear of retaliation. Fear of violence. But the moment the body was found, that fear cracked. One witness, a man who frequently visited the Ely Roadhouse, finally spoke. He walked into the sheriff's office shaking, hands trembling, voice weak. "I was there," he whispered. Detectives leaned in. "You saw what happened?" He nodded. Tears filled his eyes. "I didn't help him. I was scared. They threatened me. They said if I talked, I'd end up like Chris." His voice broke. "I heard screaming," he said. "Two men dragging him. Shaw yelling. Wagner hitting him. Church standing guard near the door." Detectives wrote down every word. This wasn't just a fight. This was coordinated. The trio didn't stumble into violence. They planned it. The next question was obvious. Why? Why did they kill Chris? What was the motive? Detectives dug into the trio's connections. One thing kept coming up. Drugs. But not just using. Not just selling. Power. Territory. Control. Reports surfaced that Chris had been talking about something he saw. A shipment, a secret, a deal gone wrong, something Shaw didn't want anyone to know. Some said Chris confronted Shaw about stolen drugs. Others said Chris threatened to expose a meth operation. Some said Shaw believed Chris was stealing from him. The truth was becoming clear. Shaw believed Chris was a threat. And Shaw didn't handle threats lightly. He eliminated them. A second witness, a woman who knew them all, came forward next. She sat down, took a deep breath, and said, "Chris walked into that house alive. He didn't walk out." Detectives asked how she knew. She closed her eyes. "I heard everything," she described, shouting, furniture crashing, Chris begging, blows landing, voices overlapping, Shaw yelling, "You should have kept your mouth shut," Wagner shouting, "Hold him still," Church saying nothing, just breathing heavily in the hallway. The woman wiped her eyes. "I tried to leave. Wagner blocked the door. He told me I didn't see anything." Detectives asked her the hardest question. "Did you see Chris alive after that?" She shook her head. "No. Everything went quiet. Too quiet. That silence? That was the moment Chris died." With multiple witness accounts, detectives pieced together the truth. Andrew Shaw, the ringleader. He started the confrontation. He believed Chris betrayed him. He delivered the first blows. Drew Wagner, the enforcer. He held Chris down. He beat him repeatedly. He made sure Chris couldn't escape. Johnny Church, the watcher, the guard. the extra muscle. He stood near the door, preventing anyone from running or calling for help. 3 men, 3 roles, 1 murder. After Chris died, the trio panicked. Not out of guilt, out of fear. Fear of getting caught. Fear of going to prison. Fear of losing control. So they cleaned the blood, scrubbed the carpets, moved furniture, burned clothes, removed weapons. Then came the worst part. They hid the body. Detectives learned the trio placed Chris in the trunk of a vehicle, drove him to a rural property, dug a shallow grave, and buried him in cold, frozen soil. The property belonged to someone tied to Wagner, a friend, an accomplice, someone who didn't ask questions. After burying the body, the trio returned to Cedar Rapids like nothing happened. They drank, they hung out, they acted normal, but something changed. People noticed they were quieter, on edge, nervous, and they told people, "Chris left town. He ran off. He's fine." Lies layered on lies. But lies collapse eventually, and detectives were building a case strong enough to bury the liars. Detectives brought Shaw back in. This time, he wasn't smirking. He looked tired, angry, cornered. Detectives slammed photos onto the table. The grave, the luminol glow, phone records, witness statements. Shaw swallowed hard. "You're lying," he said. Detectives didn't respond. They slid another page across the table. A phone record linking Shaw, Wagner, and Church on the night of the murder. Shaw's hand trembled. Then detectives hit him with the final blow. A witness claimed Shaw hit Chris first. Shaw exploded. "He shouldn't have gone running his mouth," he shouted. Silence filled the room. Detectives locked eyes. There it was. A slip. A confession. A motive. Shaw didn't deny the beating. He justified it. The case against him hardened instantly. Drew Wagner was next. Wagner was tough, loud, aggressive, but he wasn't smart. Detectives played their cards perfectly. They told him Shaw was talking. They told him Church was talking. They told him they had DNA. Wagner cracked. "I didn't kill him," he said. "It was Shaw. Shaw wouldn't stop. I just held him down." Detectives wrote every word. Wagner had just admitted involvement. He wasn't innocent. He wasn't a witness. He was part of the murder. And now he knew he was going to prison. Church was quiet, emotionless, the most dangerous man in the room. He denied everything, said he wasn't there, said he didn't see Chris, said he didn't hear anything. Detectives leaned back and smiled. They showed him text messages, call logs, location data, witness statements. Church's mask slipped. His voice lowered. "Look, I didn't touch him." Detectives leaned forward. "But you stood watch while he died." Church didn't answer. He didn't need to. Silence is often louder than words. With all 3 men interviewed, the motive became clear. For more chilling true crime stories, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. When detectives finished their interviews, one truth became clear. The trio wasn't a brotherhood. It wasn't loyalty. It wasn't friendship. It was survival, manipulation, convenience. And now that the walls were closing in, fear turned them against each other. Shaw blamed Wagner. Wagner blamed Shaw. Church blamed everyone but himself. The deadly trio began to fracture, and detectives didn't have to push hard. Because guilty men collapse under pressure. They implode. They panic. They talk. And talk they did. This chapter shows how detectives exploited every crack. How they played each man's ego, fear, and rage against the others. And how the truth came spilling out piece by explosive piece. Detectives knew the psychology of a criminal trio. Someone always breaks first. Someone always cracks. Someone always wants a lighter sentence. Someone always chooses self-preservation. The key was simple: make each man believe the other 2 already confessed. They started with the weakest link, Drew Wagner. Wagner wasn't the brains of the operation. He wasn't a planner. He wasn't calm. He was volatile, emotional, easily rattled, and detectives planned to break him wide open. Detectives placed Wagner in a freezing room. No jacket, no comfort, just silence. Time passed slowly. Wagner rubbed his arms, tapped his leg, looked at the door every few seconds. Finally, two detectives entered. They didn't sit. They hovered. "You know Shaw's blaming you, right?" one asked. Wagner's eyes widened. "What? No, he's not." The detective leaned in. "He says you lost control. He says he tried to stop you. He says you killed Chris." Wagner's breath hitched. "That's not true. Shaw's lying." Detectives exchanged a glance. "We agree. Shaw is a liar. But if you don't tell us the truth now, the jury will believe him." Wagner swallowed hard. "How much did he tell you?" "Everything," a detective lied. Wagner cracked instantly. "He hit Chris first. Shaw started it. Shaw said Chris was running his mouth. Shaw lost it. I just helped hold him. I didn't want to kill him." There it was. The first real break. Wagner admitted to being part of the murder. Admitted Shaw led it. Admitted Church was present. Detectives nodded slowly, writing every word. Wagner didn't realize it yet, but he had just sealed all three of their fates. When detectives returned to Shaw, they carried Wagner's confession in their hands like a loaded weapon. Shaw sat upright, arms crossed, jaw tight. "Wagner rolled on you," a detective said calmly. Shaw's expression faltered. "Just for a second. Just enough." "He said you hit Chris first," the detective continued. "He said you staged the whole thing. He said you ordered the burial." Shaw's nostrils flared. "He's lying. He's lying to save his own skin." "But he gave details," the detective replied. "Details only someone at the scene would know." Shaw leaned forward angrily. "That coward was the one who snapped. He panicked. He grabbed Chris. He wouldn't let go." Detectives let him rant. Every word was a confession. Every defensive outburst a brick in the wall closing around him. Shaw didn't realize it, but he had just confirmed key parts of Wagner's story. Shaw wasn't protecting himself. He was destroying himself. Johnny Church was next. He sat with an eerie calm, hands folded, ice cold, expression blank. "Wagner says you held the door," detectives told him. Church didn't respond. "Shaw says you helped move the body." Still nothing. "You know both of them are blaming you, right?" Church blinked. A slow blink. Emotionless. The detective leaned forward. "They're making you the fall guy, Johnny. They're painting you as the muscle, the enforcer, the one who made sure Chris couldn't escape." Church finally spoke. Voice flat, low. "I didn't touch him." The detective smiled. It wasn't victory. It was recognition. Church wasn't stupid. He wasn't emotional. He wasn't sloppy. He was controlled, cold, methodical. Church wouldn't confess through fear. He wouldn't confess through guilt. He would only crack under logic. "You didn't touch him," the detective said, nodding. "Fine, but you were there." Church stared. "All we need is presence," the detective continued. "Just being there makes you guilty of murder." Church's breathing changed. Barely, but detectives noticed. "We have your phone near the house. We have texts. We have witnesses." Church finally looked away. A tiny gesture. A microscopic surrender. Detectives left the room. They didn't need a confession from Church. His silence was enough. One by one, the three men broke. Not with full confessions, but with contradictions, defensiveness, slips in their stories. And those slips were deadly. Wagner said Shaw initiated the attack. Shaw said Wagner snapped. Church placed himself at the scene through denial. It was enough. Detectives cross-referenced everything. Timestamps matched. Cell phone data matched. Witnesses confirmed the timeline. Luminol confirmed the house was the primary crime scene. The grave confirmed the cover-up. The puzzle came together perfectly. Every lie they told only sharpened the truth. Detectives then received another breakthrough. Someone else was there that night. Fourth man. Not part of the trio. Not a leader. Not an attacker. A bystander. A witness. Someone terrified into silence. His name was withheld for his safety, but detectives found him. He was scared, shaking, looking over his shoulder. They brought him into a conference room. Safe, quiet, confidential. And he talked. He told detectives he saw everything. "I walked into the house," he said. And Shaw was screaming at Chris. Wagner was punching him. Church was guarding the hallway. Chris was bleeding from his face. He was trying to get away, but Wagner kept dragging him back. The witness wiped his eyes. "I froze. I didn't move. I didn't help him. I was afraid they'd kill me too." Detectives asked the hardest question. "Was Chris alive when you left?" The witness nodded slowly. "Yes, but he was barely conscious." Those words hit like a hammer. Chris suffered. He was beaten. He was terrorized. He was alive. And then he died. Because 3 men didn't stop hitting him. Using witness testimony, forensic evidence, and the trio's own contradictions, detectives rebuilt the murder. Chris walked into the house. Shaw confronted him, yelling, threatening, accusing him of talking to the wrong people. Wagner hit him, hard, multiple times. Shaw joined. Fists, feet, rage. Chris tried to run. Church blocked him. They dragged him back, beat him again. Chris begged. He apologized. He tried to protect his face. He fell to the floor. Shaw grabbed an object, possibly a piece of furniture or a heavy tool. He struck Chris again. Wagner held him down. Church stayed by the door. When Chris stopped moving, they panicked. But the damage was done. Chris was gone. The decision to bury the body was fast. Panicked. Messy. They wrapped Chris, loaded him into a car, drove to a rural property outside Cedar Rapids. Wagner dug the shallow grave. Shaw directed. Church kept watch. They covered the grave with loose dirt. Then they drove away, cold, silent, breathless, thinking the body would never be found. They couldn't have been more wrong. The evidence was overwhelming. Shaw's fingerprints in the house. Wagner's DNA under Chris's nails. Church's boot prints near the burial site. Cell phone pings tying all 3 to the crime. Witnesses confirming the attack. Blood spatter matching the trio's positions. Phone messages tying them together. Every detail pointed to 3 killers. The trial of Andrew Shaw, Drew Wagner, and Johnny Church wasn't just another courtroom spectacle. It wasn't routine. It wasn't predictable. It was volcanic. Years of secrets, months of lies, hours of violence, a murder buried under frozen dirt. Everything was coming to light, and when the public learned what really happened to Chris Bagley, the courtroom became the most emotional place in Iowa. Packed, silent, ready. This chapter takes you inside that courtroom. Every stare, every testimony, every moment the trio realized the truth. They were going to prison, and nothing could save them. On the morning of the trial, the hallway outside the courtroom was already crowded. Family, reporters, deputies, people who had followed the case from the beginning. Chris's mother arrived first. Quiet, hands clasped tightly, eyes red from months of grief. His father walked beside her, jaw clenched, trying to stay strong. Chris's friends filled the second row. Tattoos, hoodies, folded arms, heartbreak in their eyes. Then the deputies brought in the defendants. Andrew Shaw walked in first, eyes darting, lower lip trembling. The man who once acted invincible now looked like he was walking toward an execution. Drew Wagner followed. He looked rough, tired, defeated, a man who knew he'd talked too much already. Johnny Church came last, stone-faced, emotionless, cold, as if he had prepared his entire life to sit in that chair without blinking. The judge looked at all 3 men and said, "Gentlemen, your lives are about to be examined in detail." The room fell silent. The trial began. The prosecutor stood, a tall man with decades of courtroom experience. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. "This case," he said slowly, "is about domination, control, fear, and the brutal murder of a man who trusted the wrong people." He pointed toward Shaw, Wagner, and Church. Those 3 men worked together. They beat Chris Bagley. They buried him. They lied about it. And they believed no one would ever find him. He paused. But Chris's body told the truth. The courtroom held its breath. Then the defense team spoke. Shaw's attorney said, "My client was afraid. He didn't intend for any of this to happen." Wagner's attorney said, "Mr. Wagner was manipulated by stronger personalities." Church's attorney said, "My client is guilty of bad associations, nothing more." The jury didn't flinch. They knew excuses when they heard them. The first witnesses were the forensic specialists. They described the blood-soaked walls in the Ely Roadhouse, the carpet stains, the basement floor, the hallway where Chris tried to escape. One juror covered her mouth. Another shook his head slowly. The luminol photographs glowed blue under the lights. Entire sections of the house drenched in invisible blood. The prosecutor asked, "Does this blood pattern suggest a struggle?" The forensic expert answered, "No. It suggests a brutal beating by multiple attackers." Then came the grave photos, the shallow dirt, the bindings, the decomposition. Chris's mother started crying. His father held her hand. A deputy passed tissues down the aisle. The jury stared at the images as if they couldn't believe real humans did this. But they did. The medical examiner testified next. His voice was steady but heavy with emotion. Chris suffered blunt force trauma to the head, face, ribs, torso, and limbs, multiple fractures, severe bruising, and internal bleeding. The prosecutor asked quietly, "Was this survivable?" The doctor shook his head. "No, he was killed." The courtroom stayed silent for a long time. The jurors looked physically ill. The violence was undeniable. The brutality was overwhelming. The trio's guilt grew heavier by the minute. Then came the people who had been in the house that night. The first witness could barely speak. He described Chris being dragged, pinned down, hit repeatedly. He said Shaw screamed, "Shut up! Shut your mouth!" He said Wagner held Chris by the arms. He said Church blocked the only exit. He described blood, panic, terror. When he finished, he whispered, "I didn't help him, and I'll never forgive myself." Another witness followed. A woman, shaking, voice fractured. "I heard Chris begging. He kept saying, 'Please stop. Please stop. I didn't do anything.' But they didn't stop." Her words echoed across the courtroom like a funeral bell. Wagner bowed his head. Shaw shifted uncomfortably. Church didn't move at all. The prosecutor brought out the recordings. The jury leaned forward. Shaw's voice filled the speakers. "I only hit him because he was threatening me. I didn't mean for it to go that far." The jury saw the fear in his eyes, the guilt, the loss of control. Next came Wagner. "I didn't kill him. Shaw did it. I just held him down." A juror frowned deeply. Another shook his head. Holding someone down during murder is murder. Then came Church's interrogation. Cold, flat, emotionless. "I didn't touch him, but he admitted he was there. And in Iowa, presence in a group killing is participation." The prosecutor paused the screen and looked at the jury. These men didn't just lie. They lied differently. To destroy any lingering defense, prosecutors showed the jury something shocking. The trio turned on each other. Publicly, on record, under pressure. Shaw blamed Wagner. Wagner blamed Shaw. Church tried to distance himself. But their stories overlapped in the worst way. Each one accidentally confirmed the other's presence, their participation, their violence. The prosecutor connected the dots like a master storyteller. As Shaw admitted to the confrontation, Wagner admitted to holding Chris at church, admitted to being at the door. Witnesses placed all three inside the house. Phone records tied them together. Forensics confirmed a group attack. The grave linked them to the cover-up. One by one, the trio's stories collapsed. Like dominoes, like cowards. Defense attorneys tried everything. Shaw's team argued fear. Wagner's team argued peer pressure. Church's team argued mere presence. But every argument fell apart. Fear doesn't explain dozens of blows. Peer pressure doesn't excuse helping bury a body. Mere presence doesn't cover guarding the exit. The jury wasn't confused. They saw a pattern. 3 men working together to kill another man and hide the evidence. Shaw glared at Wagner. Wagner glared at Shaw. Church sat perfectly still. The trio, once united, now looked like 3 strangers trying desperately not to drown. Then came the darkest, heaviest moment of the trial. Chris's mother took the stand. She held a piece of paper, trembling hands, soft voice. She talked about her son, his smile, his generosity, his humor, his love for his daughter, his dreams. Then she broke. "He didn't deserve what they did to him," she sobbed. "He wasn't perfect, but he wasn't a monster, and they beat him like he didn't matter." Every person in the courtroom cried. Even deputies wiped their eyes. Chris's father spoke next. He glared directly at the trio. "You buried my son," he said. "You left him in the cold. You left him alone. But he wasn't alone today. We're here, and we're not leaving." His words were lightning, powerful, broken, unforgettable. The prosecutor stood for the final time. He didn't yell. He didn't rush. He delivered the truth with precision. Chris Bagley suffered a violent death. Not by one man, not by accident, but by 3 men acting together. He pointed toward the trio. Shaw led the attack. Wagner held Chris down. Church blocked the door. They killed him. They buried him. They lied. Then he leaned over the jury box. The verdict was only half of the story. The courtroom had declared the trio guilty, but justice wasn't complete. Not yet. Chris Bagley's family still needed one last moment. One final chapter. One final confrontation with the men who stole everything from them. Sentencing day. The day the law speaks with no hesitation. No fear. No mercy. This chapter is that day. The courtroom, the statements, the anger, the tears, the final judgment. The day Iowa closed the case forever. In the weeks between the verdict and sentencing, the community buzzed. Every local news station reported updates. Every Facebook page lit up with comments. People stopped Chris's family in grocery stores, offering support, prayers, hugs. Everyone wanted justice. Everyone wanted peace. Everyone wanted closure. Except the trio, who now waited for the day their freedom disappeared permanently. Inside the county jail, the 3 men lived with fear. Andrew Shaw spent his days pacing. He punched the walls again. He screamed at guards. He screamed at himself. He broke down multiple times. The man who once controlled everything controlled nothing now. Drew Wagner cried often, begged for appeals, asked if he could talk to the prosecutors again. But the time for deals was long gone. He was going to prison for decades. Nothing could change that. Johnny Church remained calm, unmoving, silent. But his silence wasn't strength. It was emptiness. The trio had collapsed. Their unity was gone. Their loyalty was dead. Their reputations were shattered. All that remained was sentencing. On the morning of sentencing, the courtroom was packed again. Reporters lined the hall. Families filled the benches. Deputies stood at every corner. It felt like déjà vu, the same room, the same judge, the same silence. But today was different. Today wasn't about proving anything. Today was about punishing. Shaw, Wagner, and Church were led in one by one. Shackles clinking, steps heavy, eyes empty. They sat down, separated by deputies. Hands cuffed, ankles chained. They looked like 3 men waiting for a storm. And the storm was coming. The prosecutor stood, holding a thick binder. Inside it, every detail of the case, every photo, every timeline, every piece of truth. He didn't waste time. "Your Honor," he began. "This was one of the most brutal murders our county has ever seen." He pointed to the trio. These men acted together. They cornered Chris Bagley. They beat him. They buried him. They tried to erase him. He flipped a page. Chris was a father, a son, a friend, a human being. Then he looked at the trio again. They didn't see him as human. He closed the binder. "For that, Your Honor, we ask for the maximum. Every year the law allows. Every day Iowa can give." The courtroom exhaled slowly. The trio shifted in their seats. They knew what was coming. Shaw's attorney spoke first. "My client has expressed remorse," he claimed. But the courtroom knew the truth. Shaw never apologized. Never even acknowledged the family's pain. Felt hollow, forced, desperate. Wagner's attorney argued, "Mr. Wagner is not the leader. He followed the wrong people. But following doesn't absolve murder." And the jury already spoke. Finally, Church's attorney, "Mr. Church maintains he never struck the victim." The judge raised an eyebrow. Presence is participation. And Church's presence was undeniable. None of the defenses moved the room. They were words without weight, attempts without hope. Sentencing was inevitable. This was the most emotional part of the entire trial. Victim impact statements. Chris's mother approached the stand first. Her hands shook. Her voice quivered. But she stood tall. "My son did not deserve what you did to him," she said through tears. "He wasn't perfect, but he was good. He loved his family. He loved his daughter." She turned to the trio. "You beat him like he wasn't a person. You buried him like trash. You left him in the cold." Her voice cracked. "I hope you think of him every night for the rest of your lives." Chris's father spoke next. He didn't cry. He didn't shake. He looked directly at the killers. "You didn't just kill my son," he said. "You killed our peace, our holidays, our future. You broke something in us that will never be fixed." He stepped closer. "But now you're losing your future, your holidays, your freedom." He paused. "That's justice." Then came Chris's sister. She sobbed uncontrollably as she talked about childhood memories. How Chris protected her from bullies. How he cooked her food when their parents worked late. How she still waited for his text messages. "My kids will never meet their uncle. Because of you." Her voice shattered the courtroom. Now it was time. The judge leaned forward. "Andrew Shaw, please rise." Shaw's legs trembled as he stood. "You orchestrated this attack," the judge said. "You escalated it. You participated in the cover-up. And you showed no remorse." He lifted the sentencing document. "For the charge of second-degree murder, I sentence you to 50 years in prison." Gasps filled the courtroom. Shaw's eyes widened. He shook his head violently. No, I didn't mean." Deputies grabbed him as he nearly collapsed. "Mr. Wagner," the judge said, "your involvement was substantial. You held the victim down. You prevented him from defending himself." Wagner cried, hard, loud, uncontrolled. "For the charge of second-degree murder," the judge said sternly, "I sentence you to 50 years in prison." Wagner let out a scream, a raw, broken sound. The deputies tightened their grip. Church stood slowly, calm, cold, still dangerous. "You may not have thrown the first blow," the judge said, "but you ensured Chris Bagley had no escape." He paused. "You enabled murder. You assisted in a cover-up. Your silence allowed evil to happen. Then, for the charge of second-degree murder, I sentence you to 50 years in prison." Church didn't blink, didn't cry, didn't react. He simply nodded, as if he already knew this was coming. The deputies placed a hand on each shoulder. The deadly trio was finished. As the three men were led out of the courtroom, Shaw sobbed. Wagner shook uncontrollably. Church stared straight ahead. Chris's mother held onto her husband. Her tears fell, but this time they weren't grief alone. They were relief. Justice had spoken. Firmly. Finally, Chris was gone, but his story ended with accountability. And the trio who tried to bury him was now buried behind bars. In the months that followed, Chris's family visited his gravesite often. They brought flowers, letters, memories. The community honored him with a vigil. Hundreds attended. Candles flickered in the cold winter air. Voices whispered prayers. Detectives moved to new cases, but none ever forgot this one. The brutality, the bond among killers, the courage of witnesses, the strength of a grieving family. In the end, the law worked, the truth survived, and the trio's darkness ended in confinement. Chris Bagley's story became a warning, a story of danger, trust, betrayal, and the justice that rose from the cold ground where he was buried. It became a reminder that evil can hide anywhere, but so can resilience. For more chilling true crime stories, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel.